Oi lads, Crypto here, and today I guess you can say we'll be covering the good, the bad, and the ugly. Oh yes, today we're going to be going over the top 16 biggest buffs and nerfs in Borderlands history.
Mainly Borderlands 3 though.
I already know someone might get this confused, so let me clarify. By top 16, I mean we'll be ranking 8 buffs and 8 nerfs from least to most impactful. If we'd be doing 16 for both, I think we'd be here until Gearbox fixes the pullout method, which means the video would never end. Please fix it, Gearbox. But that is a video for another day. Now on this list, I'll be showing you weapons, items, anointments, and skills which have been buffed or nerfed and their effect is still prevalent in the game. For example, if a specific buff made a weapon crazy but it's been overshadowed by various scaling changes like the Krakatoa for example, I'll be leaving it out of the video because, you know, it's kind of pointless to mention if their effect doesn't exist in the game anymore, you know. Also, this way, you know which items you should look out for and which items you should just spit on and walk over, so yeah. Oh yeah, and yo, I do just want to add that this ranking is not only based on how good or bad the item became, but the effect the change had on the community. But yeah, I think we're gonna start off with buffs, and without wasting any more time, The Soul Render got introduced in DLC 2, Guns, Love and Tentacles, and has been a huge fan favourite for many. And as a big doll fan myself, I can confirm that this beauty was fun to use ever since the DLC release. But it was quite obvious that it wasn't the strongest of weapons. It was obviously strong on most because
she's the most balanced character in the game.
But all in all, when judged by its overall damage output on all characters, it wasn't exactly god tier. However, 9 months later, on the 17th of December 2020, Gearbox blessed us with a buff to the weapon, and let me tell you, it was a pretty big one.
Increased skull damage from ×2 base damage to ×20 base damage.
Yeah, when I said this gun was good on most before the buff, calling it one of the best weapons after the buff wouldn't be a far stretch. It's actually really fun doing all that splash damage with infinite ammo. It's genuinely one of my favourite playstyles in the game. As for every other Vault Hunter, the Soul Render performs very well on all of them and is definitely a viable pick. God, these are so hard to list, man. We'll go Cloud Kill next. Yeah, fuck it, Cloud Kill it is. And I ain't talking no fucking cheese puff, my guy. I'm talking about the real Cloud Kill. And to review that one, we're gonna have to pay the dead, but still rightful copyright owner of the Cloud Kill trademark, Maya, a visit. Now, I don't have any footage or personal experience to go off of this item pre-buff. All I have is, Reddit. At the time of the buff, I was making a weapon guide on the Infinity Pistol, thinking it was the best weapon in the game, okay? God, I was using this shit on Sal as well. You know, when I was younger, I used to watch the Flintstones. No wonder why I'm so fucking retarded. But from what I've heard, Cloud Kill, the skill in Maya's red tree, used to tickle enemies when you got to around the halfway mark in true Vault Hunter mode, which isn't too good. But patch 1.8.4 released on the 29th of October 2015 made many Maya mains happy as it buffed and tweaked multiple other skills. The most effective buff obviously being Cloud Kill. Fuck me, the skill is busted, bro. The Trevonator was a gun designed by a Borderlands fan named Trevor Eastman, who unfortunately passed not too long after the release of Borderlands 3. And I'm not gonna get too deep into this, but I will say that I'm extremely happy Gearbox gave us this gun as a tribute to the man. It always makes me super happy to be a part of this community whenever they do this sort of stuff, you know? But yeah, the Trevonator started off its Borderlands 3 lifecycle as a pretty solid weapon and then got various buffs, making it a top tier pick for every character. Then, just like you in a relationship, the Trevonator got scammed and cheated on by the release of Mayhem 2.0 and the gun unfortunately became shit. However, a few months after that shitty update's release and after many complaints from fans, in October of 2020, the gun's weapon damage got buffed by a whole 138%. And I'm happy with this, and it was the morally correct thing to do. Good job, Gearbox. Now, the crit was never good. The only scenario where you could get great use out of this weapon is if you used Ties That Bind to actually hit your crits, and then used the Terra Ammo Regen anointment to not reload your weapon, because if you do reload you have a chance to drop it. So yeah, Amara could get some sort of good use out of a weapon, but Flak couldn't, surprisingly. And honestly, that's not too much different to its Borderlands 2 counterpart. It wasn't too great in that game either. But on the 2nd of February 2021, the crit got a 540% damage buff. I repeat, 540%. Quite a bit. Increased lifesteal by 3%, and a lowered chance to drop the weapon on reload, going from a 12% chance to a small 5%. And notice how the date of the buff was so close to Valentine's Day? Yeah. Perfect, considering if you want this weapon, you've got to grab your Uncle Jerome's credit card and donate your or his life savings to the woman who is married to the most dangerous guy in the universe.
Ah, love at first sight. It always starts with money.
I always really liked the crossbow. Issue is, it was always really shit. I like to imagine the sniper as an actual sniper rifle that acts like a bow whose projectiles do the amount of damage reminiscent to a rocket launcher's. Also, that's how it was meant to feel. It actually didn't achieve that at launch. And the fact that it was such a rare weapon that dropped from a rare spawn devalued the weapon even more. Before the buff, it was probably within the top 5 worst legendary sniper rifles in BL3. Now, I'm actually surprised it got as big as a buff as it did, as no one really raised their complaints or wishes of a buff for the crossbow, but here we are, October 8th, 2020, and the crossbow has been buffed by 368%. Oh yes, the fan favourite gun from the Animal Crossing guy himself, Doomslayer. I think due to the awesome gimmick, concept and sound of the gun, it quickly became a fan favourite, and oh, let's not miss POW out of that list, baby. This gun was fucking insane when BL3 released, but it got fucked over by a certain update. Yeah, somewhere down in hell, Saddam Hussein decided to show Satan some furry porn from Tumblr, and that motherfucker had enough. He unleashed this hellhole shithole of an update on us. The inevitable happened shortly after this thing dropped. Almost every gun became shit, and the Hellwalker fits under the almost category. Luckily though, after months and months and what felt like years of complaining, Gearbox took the stick out their arse and decided to buff the Hellwalker by 317% on the 3rd of September 2020. Thank you. It is so good now. I love this gun. It's so fun going up to people's faces. I no longer have to use the fucking stagecoach or find purple stagecoach times 25 projectiles. That's the best shotgun you're gonna get. Fuck off. Jesus Christ. Okay, chill. Moving on. I don't even need to talk. Montage, do your thing, bro. The farmer in the dell, the farmer in the dell, hi ho the dairy-o, the farmer in the dell, the farmer takes the wife, the farmer takes a wait, it's Yo, this motherfucker got plenty of wives, Jesus. Hi ho the dairy-o, the farmer takes a wife. Anyway, Nerf time.
Undetected, obliterate.
Accurate. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the ion cannon is still fucking crazy, but the only real reason why I put it on this list is because of the reaction the community had. This was the first real nerf we had to a DLC item, and people went apeshit. I want my refund. I paid for this DLC.
Nerflands.
To be fair, like, you didn't even work that hard for the weapon. It's a guaranteed drop from the fabricator. We almost had a whole entire month before the ion cannon got nerfed, but unfortunately it got its slap on the arse by Gearbox on the 16th of January 2020. The changes given to the ion cannon consist of a 5-second longer reload speed and having the gun take 6 ammo per shot, which I personally think was a bit overboard. Alright, on to number 7 we go, and I know I said we're gonna ignore buffs or nerfs if the effect really isn't existent in the game anymore, as the weapon ended up getting buffed, but I feel like this nerf was so huge you really can't pass up on mentioning it. Number 7 goes to the Flakka, objectively the best Borderlands 3 weapon at launch, and that was a total surprise considering it was never really that great in past installments. Also, I'm pretty sure this was one of the first nerfs in the game. This I'm not so surprised about since pretty much every single Mo's player ran around with this shotgun back in the day. So on the 17th of October, a little over a month of the game's release, the Flakka met its quite literal demise with its reduced damage of 33% and becoming a one-shot reload weapon. Not only did that make the gun difficult to use against a wide group of mobs, but it made the weapon extremely ammo consuming, and I swear to God, after this nerf it's as if the gun never existed. Everyone stopped using it and it was never really brought up after. Okay, to fit in line with a flacker, I think we'll go over the Hex Grenade. God, y'all remember this thing? Unlike the flacker, this grenade did not make a comeback, this shit got shinobled. In case you don't remember, the Hex, Flacker, Scourge, and Blastmaster were like the 4 horsemen of most builds in 2019. However, that meta has really shifted, and that's because most things which were good then feel terrible to use now. However, the Hex wasn't just good on those. No, this baby was good on every Vault Hunter, especially with a reoccurring prefix. God damn! And then, October 17th, 2019 came around. On this date, Gearbox reduced the damage by over 70% and reduced the grenade's duration to 3 seconds. Yo, damn, I just realized this is the same date the Flacker got nerfed on. That hit hard. Also, apparently, the Hex was given the wrong grenade modifier, so they ended up completely changing up how the grenade works, which... okay. Okay, next up we have the Crossroads. What did they do to this gun? Well, they removed 1 projectile and now the gun shoots 3 projectiles instead of 4. Do these guys not know what a crossroad is? Coming in at number 4 is the complete removal of the Terra Extra Projectile anointment, which was released during the original Bloody Harvest event in 2019. Here's a little TLDR. This anointment apparently fed a big variety of weapon steroids, resulting in busted weapons, crashes, and they genuinely just didn't know how to fix a bug which allowed you to spawn in an infinite amount of projectiles, so they were like, oh fuck it, let's remove it. Oh, I think this might be one of the more famous ones. By any chance, does a blue, busted radiation grenade sound familiar at all? I sure hope so, because the pipe bomb does in fact make the top 3 spot. Okay, now in defense of Gearbox, because I do feel like this is a pretty justifiable nerf, this grenade was broken, bro. Like, it's not as if the grenade was just super powerful or anything, it was genuinely broken. Now, I genuinely don't even know how to explain what this grenade did to enemies, so I'll just let Gearbox themselves explain. Address the concern where the porcelain pipe bomb set off multiple explosions when colliding with objects. Concern, eh? But that makes sense. I guess what happened is that the pipe bomb kept glitching out and just creating an unlimited amount of explosions, murdering everything in its path. Now again, they only fixed the broken part of this weapon, meaning the base damage didn't get touched at all. This might sound good on paper, but the glitch is the only real thing the pipe bomb had going for it. Nowadays it struggles to kill badass enemies and only really gets through red health bars.
Hey, none of us would be here without come.
Honestly, I'm just gonna put the B shield and conference call nerf here because it's extremely popular and you guys really wanted me to feature it. Basically, if you didn't know, the B shield buffed every single projectile the conference call shot back in the early days of Borderlands 2, and it was just fucking crazy. Now thankfully both of these items still work very well together, but it will never match the amount of damage it used to do. This combo used to give out some of the biggest damage numbers we've ever seen in the franchise, and god, imagine if it was still around when Hatherax got introduced. I feel like a lot of you might disagree with me on this, but I'ma go with it anyway because it truly affected a ton of weapons, and the nerf I'm talking about is the ASC bonus projectile nerf. This, honestly, to me, just felt like they tried to kill off the recursion but tried to disguise it and ended up killing a ton of more weapons.
Reduced the number of projectiles that spawn due to damage dealt when using multiple elements on enemies and limited the number of times projectiles bounce to 4.
Is the official nerf statement we were given on the 23rd of July 2020, and apparently this nerf was made in order to improve performance, but I think we all know that isn't the case. But yeah, like I said, this felt highly targeted towards the recursion, but I think just about every ricochet weapon got hit extremely hard by this. Especially the Rowan's and Lucian's call, they felt unusable at the time. Oh, and by the way, if going for the recursion was the actual idea behind this nerf, they were very successful. Most of the community was furious, and nowadays the recursion is nothing more than mediocre. But anyway fellas, wow, that was an extremely long list, but it looks like we finally reached the end of it. What are your thoughts on these buffs and nerfs? Do you love them? Do you hate them? And also, definitely make sure to comment your own lists down below, though I will be honest, it was extremely hard to put these in order. And with all that out the way, we have reached the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. I make content all things Borderlands and Wonderlands, so it might just be worth sticking around. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay classy. Peace.